first, I want to review. I just let you speak because it's so interesting. Now I want to ask you some questions.
Sure.
What is it? It's a little amazing to me what you said, but I didn't interrupt you. It went from about 80 accusers to 2?
Yeah. Yeah. So they have, and it's, they're doing this thing of stretching the law, which is, it seems very unjustified. So they have
I know.
lots of witnesses.
I'm going to ask you about that too. I've never heard this happen where you bring in people who charge him with something that he's never been tried for.
Correct. They're allowing these people, they're calling them Molyneux witnesses, and they are people who can testify to prior bad acts. But they are not part of the criminal, accusations. So it's, and there's loads of them. They have lots of them. But, each of them that we have heard from so far are getting demolished by the defense. And really demolished. You have situations like the one Annabella Sciorra, which would be the most well-known person. A lot of your listeners would have watched Sopranos. She played the woman who ran the car sales, kind of posh car sales woman who was quite crazy. And she is one of these people in these Molyneux witnesses, and she can't. She says she was raped by Harvey Weinstein. She can't remember the year. She can't remember what year it happened. And there were other very large holes in her testimony. But one of the things I just wanted to mention, Dennis, and thank you for your really kind things that you said about Phelim and I. What we're doing, which is really has never been done before, it's like a new genre, is we have a podcast every day where we reenact the most dramatic moments of what's happening in the court day by day using actors. So there's a bunch of actors in Los Angeles every day who will reenact each scene from the day's testimony and cross-examination and all of that. And we put it out as a podcast every morning. And it's called WeinsteinPodcast.com. And everyone can go and listen every day. And people should, as we said, it was WeinsteinPodcast.com. But anyone who cares about justice should actually care about this case. It seems extraordinary, and exactly the point you're making, that 80 whittled down to 2. And, another part of this that's very disturbing is that they brought in this professor from Temple University, Dr. Barbara Ziv, who's a forensic psychiatrist, who basically says that, if you're raped and subsequently send lots of letters saying, I love you, I miss you, I want to meet you, I want you to come to my birthday, which is what all of this has happened in this case, I want you to meet my mother, that is all that actually almost reinforces the fact that you were raped, according to Dr. Ziv. But what we thought was very curious about Dr. Ziv, and people will remember Dr. Ziv, she was actually also somebody that we all listened to in relation to Christine Blasey Ford. Her name came up in that regard, but she also was part of the prosecution of Bill Cosby. But this Dr. Ziv, and I don't know what you think of this, Dennis, but she has never published anything. And I thought that was really odd for a professor.
I find that odd, too. I thought it's very fair.
Yeah. I've actually happened to have a number of friends who are psychiatrists. They've all published. And by the way, published 20 years ago. I've been publishing for years, and I think it's something that one would
Anyway,
expect from a
you don't have to be a forensic psychiatrist or a non-forensic psychiatrist or a forensic plumber to acknowledge the absurdity of, if I keep telling you how much I love you in subsequent emails, that proves I was raped.
It makes it. Of course, I'm sitting there every day at the trial, and I'm sitting there thinking I'd like to ask a few questions myself, and I'd certainly like to ask Dr. Ziv what exactly would need to happen for her to identify a red flag in a situation of a false accuser, because certainly she doesn't see any difference.
That's a great
any of this.
That's a great question. If wanting to meet the person and have the person meet your parents and love notes are not available to people to at least question the question of rape, then what is? That you're so right. It is such a okay. So I don't understand the issue. I thought that liberals, when you have murderers on trial, people on trial for murder, they don't want people from the past who were pistol whipped or shot in the knee to testify that this guy has shot 42 people prior to this because it's not germane. All of a sudden,
yes,
the past is germane.
Yes, and actually, and this is something again, because I mean, the point we're sort of making is if the mob are coming for this guy, who, by the way, this is not a nice man. This is not a man.
Exactly. By the way, I just want forgive me.
They're coming for him.
Anne, just hold on one second.
For you the next day.
That's exactly right. I want people to understand. Anne can't stand him. I can't stand him. This guy was a big left-wing mouthpiece, aside from an abuser of women in our view. The question is justice, not do we like the person. For the left, there is no question of justice. There is a question of do we like the person. And we conservatives don't operate that way. We operate on principles. So that's why this is not a defense of Harvey Weinstein. This is the defense of justice.
Yes, and I think this is why, and I think this is why conservatives need to pay attention to this particular case. They need to listen to our podcast every day and keep up with what's going on, because there are just extraordinary things happening here. By the way, I think I have to tell you, and you'd find this kind of amusing. The first photograph.
All right, hold on. I want to hear that. Obviously, back in a moment.
The Dennis Prager Show, live from the Relief Factor Pain-Free Studio.